Presidential spokesperson Garba Shehu joins us now via Skype to give an analysis of the president's New Year message. Many thanks for joining us. I mean, you might just be the most important person to talk to this time of the year after that speech by the president. Let's look at this discussion around restructuring and the president's statement about restructuring. Can you help us make sense of all he said concerning restructuring?
Well, thank you for this opportunity. The president is not adamant to yearnings and the feelings of Nigerians. He has said in that speech that no system, human system, is perfect, and that each system can benefit from periodic review and changes can be done. I think his problem with the advocacy as it is being made in this country is that it ignores the essentials of democracy. Democracy is supported by institutions such as the parliament. And in this case, the parliament is the custodian of the sovereignty of the people of Nigeria. There is nothing that cannot be achieved using the parliament. What are the issues? A restructure and devolution of power, local government autonomy, more powers, to the states, and things like that. These are things that are achievable. People should work with the parliament. And don't seek to subvert the system of democracy. I think that's his own idea.
All right, but calls from all the regions of the country have been in support of devolving power, ensuring that the power within the middle is shelved. So why does it seem that the president is looking the other way when the entire region is saying, look, we need to, shelve the powers at the center?
I think that there's need for a better understanding of what the president is saying. He doesn't disagree that, in fact, he said the cost of governance has to be cut. In effect, this implies an indication that he too doesn't think that the government in the center is, is exactly up to size. The thing is, he says the problem is the process. How do you achieve this change? A lot of Nigerians are used to the military fiat. In the past, military administrations roll out decrees at night and then they restructure institutions. The president, as a democratically elected head of this government, head of the country, has no power under the existing constitution to alter any part of the constitution, give more powers to the states. Or you have to use the institution of parliament to achieve this. I think this is the essence. Some of the advocates of a national conference or restructuring are looking at a parallel conference, something that will function outside the parliament. That will not be democratic. And I think that to strengthen our democracy, we must come to terms with the fact that the parliament is where the will of the people resides, that the representation of the will of the people resides, and that we should be prepared to work with existing parliament to achieve all of that we wish to achieve.
Well, it seems like the president understands that using the parliament for this would never be possible. It's not going to work because, I mean, they've debated this for about twice, and majority from the parliament said they do not want Nigeria to be restructured. So, I mean, Nigerians know this is going to be difficult to achieve. Let's leave that now. Let's talk about cutting the cost of governance. We've had this for almost 3 years now, and not much has changed. As a matter of fact, the budget keeps increasing. How does the president really want to cut the cost of governance?
Well, I'm not sure I will agree with you that nothing has changed. You know that when we came in 2015, overheads, cost of salary and travel and all of that consumed 95% of the budget. There was little or nothing left for capital projects. And this is why the previous administration did not complete one single project in 10 years. Under President Buhari, we have started making a provision. Last year, 30% of the budget was dedicated to capital projects. And that's why there's a lot going on with roads, with power, with the rail. This year is 31%. So we keep improving. Yes, money is being made available for capital projects, and we can only make this available when we make savings from running costs. A lot of waste has been cut. And of course, there's no time, but if you want, the details can be rolled out.
All right, the president also talked about massive infrastructure development around the country, as it were. But quite a few people who have analyzed the president's speech in that regard have said they fear this may not work as the president has put it, because 2019 people are already talking about elections. And so how do you see that?
Well, I want to assure you that the president is capable of maintaining focus on issues of the day. When he came in, it was clear that the issue of security and the war against terrorism and corruption were foremost on his mind. He never wavered. As I speak to you now, in 2 days from now, on Thursday, he's going to commission locomotives and coaches in Kaduna that will run on the new railway line Kaduna-Abuja. And you know that work is ongoing in Ibadan-Lagos. This will be commissioned by the end of next year. Already, the federal government has placed orders worth more than $500 million for the procurement of coaches and the wagons and the locomotives that will run on the Ibadan-Lagos. In fact, the whole country will be connected Lagos north-south using the standard gauge by 2023. So there will be implementation. I assure you that the president is focused and will maintain it.
Okay, I would also want to talk about the issue of herders and farmers' attacks in Nigeria. Nigerians really want to know why the president has been silent on this. I mean, he's never really mentioned this, particularly to say we're going after those who are responsible for these attacks. How long do we wait before we hear from him?
Well, two things. One is to say that he did say something about security as being primary responsibility of government. In that speech, he also had words of appreciation for armed forces, how well they are doing. But if you want to be fair to the administration also, I think that in the last few months and weeks, you will notice that there is a gradual calming down of these herders and farmers' clashes. These things are coming down. State governments are, in fact, in that speech, the president said short-term measures will come into place dealing with kidnapping, and matters of security. But look at what they are doing in Benue and in Kaduna and in Plateau and in Taraba. A number of states are taking initiatives that need to be given a chance. And so these things are already working. The results are showing. If you take away the incident in southern Kaduna last week and the one before it in Plateau, I think generally these things are coming down. And that this is owed to the fact that the armed forces are on top of the situation, and the state governments are also collaborating with the federal government in order to ensure that these senseless killings are ended.
All right, how else does the president intend, because he talked about making the system, the structure unattractive to corrupt elements. We've seen quite, the president's war on corruption, but not quite a number of people. Not so many people are very convinced because of the high-profile cases that have been lost, and all of that. What more efforts is the president, trying to put into, that to ensure that, the confidence of Nigerians is, heightened?
Well, we are already receiving international cooperation now, especially in the training of prosecutors, Italy, United States, United Kingdom, and all of that. Countries are giving assistance to Nigeria, and a lot of, also some of these cases are being farmed out to qualified lawyers to handle and prosecute. And I think that there is a focus also on the part of the president that as much as possible, recovery is very important in all of these things, because we have nearly 60,000, 70,000 people in our prisons now. The idea is not to fill the prisons with more and more people. In fact, perhaps more beneficial to us if we had all of these millions of dollars that have been stolen back in the treasury and they serve public good. So it's a two-way path. Emphasis on recovery is going on, and also, of course, punishment so that deterrence is also injected into the process.
Okay, this question is totally off the president's speech. We had a list that was released over the weekend, and we had names of those who have passed on, our ancestors, on this list, and Nigerians are wondering, how did this happen?
Well, let me tell you that, and I'm not trying to make excuses, how many people report deaths to the authorities. You know that by law, every birth and death should be reported to the National Population Commission. How many Nigerians?
I mean, you sent some condolence messages to the families of some of those on that list.
Well, the thing is that, as far as that is, this list was written 2015. It's been there all this while, going from one desk to another. And the fact that we have admitted that the mistake has been done, correction will be made. Whoever is dead cannot serve as a board member.
Absolutely.
They will be replaced in the coming days. So therefore, there will be changes to those names. However, it must be given to human beings that human beings can also. There is no perfection in some of these things, and systematically correction will be made, and these things will not happen again, I assure you.
Okay. All right, Presidential Spokesman Garba Shehu, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on TVC News Hour.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We'll take a break at the moment, and when we come back, we'll have more for you. Stay with us.